Andy and Shauna, and thank you, Donna. I love this center. We can all go home now because it doesn't matter what I say. We got fed. That was just absolutely beautiful. Let's see. Let's repeat what's on the screen. And not that. Yeah, there we go. I am created in the likeness and image of God. Therefore, whatever God is, I am. And this is the truth about me. I got this idea for this message this morning off the internet. I read something. Is this need to go higher? Is that what you're saying? I read something that said there were something like 365 verses in the Bible that said, "Fear not." And I'm a lover of research, so I said, okay, let's just see if that's true. It wasn't true. There's really only about 110 times that God urges us not to fear in the Bible. And that's when you include phrases like, be not afraid, do not fear, do not be afraid. There's just all kinds of different ways God tells us we don't have to fear. You'd think once would be enough, but we're a thick-headed people and we need to hear it again and again and again. I find it interesting that the Course in Miracles says we only have two emotions, love and fear. I never like how in the Course Jesus explains to us exactly how the ego works first, and then he explains it in detail again and over and over and over again. I want to skip over all that stuff and go just cut to the chase, get to the good part, jump right into my right mind. And after a while, you realize you can't do that. The only way to get rid of guilt is to look at it with the Holy Spirit. Doing this brings up a lot of fear in a healthy ego. Refusing to look at it is what keeps us in the ego. Remember, the ego is nothing more than a thought system. Kenneth Wapnick states over and over again that we should never underestimate the power of an ego. The reason is this. Within itself, the ego thought process is a perfectly logical system. There is no way out. Thankfully, we have a choice. But if I choose to use the ego thought system, this is what will happen. I'll believe I sinned, I'll feel guilty, guilt will demand punishment, and I'll become afraid that God himself is going to punish me. The fear of God will be too great. So I'll project my fear onto someone else, because what you repress, you project. Then when I see it outside myself, I'll attack it. Attacking will always keep me feeling guilty because on some level, I know exactly what I'm doing. There's no way out. It's an insane circular thought system. What makes this world go round is this cycle of sin, guilt, fear, projection, attack, and more guilt. The world is a very, very scary place. But the Course says the ego is foolproof, but not God-proof. The only way out is to remember to love and to use forgiveness. Love is of God. Love is in God's world. Love is the complete opposite of fear. When we get peaceful and remember to love, the Holy Spirit shows us what we need to see. The Holy Spirit's way of seeing things is through the lens of love. He can use my projection of guilt to gently remind me what I see in my brother is only what I cannot or will not confront in myself. I have projected my darkness, my sin, onto him, and he is like a mirror reflecting it back to me. A great example of this is in Leviticus. Aaron puts his hands on a goat and symbolically transfers the sins of all the children of Israel onto the goat. And then they chased the goat out of the camp. But they had to do it every year because the sin kept coming back. Poor goat. Fear and the need to project guilt is the root of all anger. Anger unchecked can lead to rage. Once I take something personally, I'm seeing something of my own that I have denied or repressed. And we all know the old adage, if you spot it, you got it. The only way to get rid of it is to give it to the Holy Spirit. Jesus was quite a radical teacher. He embraced all the things that the book of Leviticus told the Jews to stay away from in order to keep themselves clean. He hung out with sinners, tax collectors, prostitutes, women, children. His actions and his words taught us that in truth, you cannot project your guilt onto other people to get rid of it. The Cherokee Indians have the legend of the two wolves. It goes like this. An old Cherokee is teaching his grandson about life. "A terrible fight is going on inside me," he said to the boy. "It is a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. One is evil. He's angry. His anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego." He continued, "The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, serenity, hope, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going on inside you and inside every other person, too." The grandson thought about it for a minute and then asked his grandfather, "Which one will win?" And the Cherokee replied, "The one you feed." We are always making a choice between love and fear. Learning to notice negative thoughts helps us to remember to let them go. It is a thought process. Excuse me. Both wolves are a thought process. They're both there, but I'm the one who chooses which one to feed. There's a story of a meal that Jesus shared with a Pharisee in Luke. It goes like this. A Pharisee invited him to dine with him, so he went and took his place at the table. The Pharisee was amazed to see that he did not first wash before dinner, and then Jesus said to him, "You Pharisees clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside you are full of greed and wickedness. You fools." The Lamsa Bible translates this as, "Oh, you short-sighted." And then Jesus went on to say, "Did not the one who made the outside make the inside also? So give for alms those things that are within, and see, everything will be clean for you." The Pharisees did not include everyone. Jesus did. The Course says love makes no exceptions. Forgiveness happens on its own when we make the decision not to use the ego's thick thought process and allow the Holy Spirit to show us what to do. That involves remembering that I don't know what to do on my own. I can't do it on my own. I have to allow the Holy Spirit to show me how. The Holy Spirit knows the answer is in our right mind, and he will use our projections to show us the better way, but only if we're willing to let him. Jesus was very aware that we have a split mind. As long as we're experiencing ourselves as being here in the world, we only have two choices: the right mind or the wrong mind, love or fear. When Jesus told us to turn the other cheek in Matthew, he didn't mean that we have to suffer through two slaps. He was explaining a right-minded response to an attack. If someone slaps you, they have to be pretty angry at you. And it doesn't have to be a slap. If someone blows up at you, you can back up and remember, anger is just an expression of fear. Remembering this can help us stay calm and peaceful in the face of an attack. Using the Holy Spirit's thought process, we will not suffer because we'll see through what our brother is doing. He's calling for love. We are not victims of attack because we know we are children of God. We're safe and secure in the truth of who we are and who God is. It's easy to turn the other cheek because we know that our brother has simply forgotten who he is and is asking us to help him remember. This is what Jesus was talking about when he said, "Unless you take up your cross and follow me, you cannot be my disciples." He said this 3 different times, in Matthew, in Mark, and in Luke. He must have really wanted us to get it. To take up my cross is to agree to deal with, to be willing to look at my own guilt and fear. Recognizing it in myself will stop the madness of the ego's projections. This is the only way out of the ego. With the Holy Spirit's help, we look at the guilt and the fear and realize we don't want it anymore. This is the gift we bring to the Holy Spirit. He takes our guilt away, and we accept the truth of who we really are as God's beloved children. The Holy Spirit can give you faith and holiness and vision to see it easily enough, but you have not left open and unoccupied the altar where the gift belongs. Where they should be, you have set up your idols to something else. The other will, which seems to tell you what must happen, you give reality, and what would show you otherwise must therefore seem unreal. All that is asked of you, this is from the Course, this is Jesus telling me what he's asking me. All that is asked of you is to make way for truth. You are not asked to make or do what lies beyond your understanding. All you are asked to do is let it in. Only stop your interference with what will happen of itself, simply to recognize again the presence of what you thought you gave away. What I think I gave away is the presence of God's love in me. Later on in this same chapter, Jesus says, "It is needful that you recognize you made the world you see. It is as needful that you recognize you made the world you see as that you recognize you did not create yourself. They are the same mistake. Nothing created not by your Creator has any influence over you. And if you think what you have made can tell you what to see and feel and place your faith in its ability to do so, you are denying your Creator and believing that you made yourself." There's a quote from Voltaire that I love. "God created man in his own image, and then man returned the favor." This is projection. Conservatives want God to be conservative. Liberals want God to be liberal. To a chauvinist, God is masculine. To a feminist, God is feminine. And on we go, creating God in our own likeness and image. The worst problem is we have a horrible self-image. The Course says we believe we are the home of evil, darkness, and of sin. Someone who believes that can only want an angry, vengeful God who will punish them for their sins. We've made God in our own image. When we choose to stop all our childish projections, we stand in awe of a God who is, was, and always will be outside the realm of our physical understanding. This is a completely loving God, for God is love, and only love is real. The Holy Spirit is our link, our connection to God in this world. Let us pray. Father, thank you that you are always there for us. Peace is always inside us. Love is always inside us, for that is what you are. Help us to remember this. Amen.